So I agreed to go on this show in Jakarta called The Awesome Show. And it was the early morning show. And it was unlike anything I've even seen on our TV. And you see anything on our TV these days. People are jumping up and down, they're singing, they're dancing, and I'm sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, I hope they don't ask me to sing or dance. But thankfully they didn't. They did an interview, and then they said to the audience, well, do anybody have any questions? So somebody raised a hand, and it was called on. So this person said, I want to ask you something. We followed your election. I found that people overseas followed our election in some ways closer than some Americans. Really followed it. And so this questioner says, we followed your election. It was really a hard-fought, long election, because our elections, as you know, last forever compared to most other countries which have elections. He said, and we saw you and President Obama going at it. He was saying bad things about you were saying bad things about him, and then all of a sudden you end up as his Secretary of State. How does that work? And I thought, this is a really serious question. Because in lots of places, you run against somebody and you lose, you can be exiled, imprisoned, or killed, not made Secretary of State. So I thought that there was a moment here that if I could, rev my brain up, I could say something that maybe would reach particularly young people, because Indonesia is a relatively young democracy. So I said, you're right. We ran a very hard campaign against each other. He won, I lost, and then I went to work for him because he and I shared many of the same positions about what should be done in the next presidency. And then he won, and then he asked me to be Secretary of State. And I said yes, for the same reason. We both love our country. And no matter how hard this election or any election becomes, we should remember that at the core we can have disagreements, and we will. We have different governing philosophies. We have different views about what works and what the evidence shows works about economic policies. That's all fair game. But we should show more respect toward each other. And we should remember why we're doing this. Because we love our country. And we want it to be the country of hope and potential for our children and our grandchildren that many of us saw come into being over the last decades. So as I run for president, we're going to have some very difficult challenges. We'll have disagreements, we'll have debates, but I want you to know that I will be remembering what I think should be at the core of every political campaign. How we treat one another, and how we care for this gift we've been given, the United States of America. Thank you all very much.